Chapter 12 Topic 4 Part 4 Love for the Prophet 4. The behavior of Sahabah at Hudeybiyah. The campaign of Hudeybiyah took place in 6 when the Prophet, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, with a large number of Sahabah was going to Mecca to perform Umrah. The Quraysh came to know of this, and decided to prevent their entry into Mecca. They also decided to invite the neighboring tribes of Mecca for help, and made large-scale preparations for battle. When the Prophet, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, reached Zul Hulayfa, he sent a man to bring intelligence about the Quraysh. When the Prophet, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, reached Asfan, the person returned from Mecca with the information that the Quraysh were equipped to the teeth to resist the Prophet's entry into Mecca and that the neighboring tribes also were by their side. At this, the Prophet, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, consulted the eminent Sahabah to consider the situation. One proposal was to attack the houses of the tribes who had sent their men to help the Quraysh, so that they might forsake Quraysh to protect their own homes, and the other was to march straight towards Mecca. Abu Bakr, radhiyallahu anhu, said, "0 Prophet of Allah. We have come to perform Umrah. We have no intention of fighting with the Quraysh. Let us go ahead. If they stop us we shall fight, otherwise not." The Prophet, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, agreed to the proposal of Abu Bakr, radhiyallahu anhu, and decided to march ahead towards Mecca. When he reached Hudeybiyah, Budayl bin Waraq al-Khuzai met him with a group of people. He said, "The Quraysh unclear no circumstances will permit your entry into Mecca. They are already drawn up in battle array." At this, the Prophet, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, replied, "We have come to perform Umrah only and have no intention to fight. Frequent battles have already inflicted heavy casualties on Quraysh. If therefore they agree, I am prepared to talk over a no pact with them, so that they do not fight with me and I may deal with others. If, however, Quraysh do not see their way to accept this proposal, then by him who holds my live in his hand, I will fight them till at last either Islam prevails or I am slain." Budai returned to the Quraysh and conveyed to them what the Prophet had told him. But they did not agree to the peace proposal of the Prophet, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Parleys between the two sides however continued and, at one time, Urwa bin Masud Thaqafi was sent by Quraysh as a plenipotentiary. Urwa had not then accepted Islam. The Prophet, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, talked to him in the same strain as he had done to Budayl. Urwa said, "0 Muhammad, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. If you want to slay all the Arabs you cannot possibly do so, as none before you has ever succeeded in putting an end to all the Arabs. On the contrary, if the Arabs get the upper hand, then take it from me that these persons round you will disappear in no time, leaving you all alone, for I don't find any people of high birth among them. They all come from a low stock drawn from all corners who will desert in trouble." Abu Bakr, radhiyallahu anhu, standing close by, was infuriated at this statement, and resentfully told Urwa, "Go and fawn upon your goddess Lot. We will by no means flee away and leave the Prophet, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, by himself." Urwa asked, "Who is he?" The Prophet, "He is Abu Bakr." Urwa, "Abu Bakr. I am in turn you have done for this, I would abuse. Deaded to have you replied, in theory, a too good past. But your Urwa then resumed his deliberations with the Prophet, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Urwa occasionally touched the beard of the Prophet, according to the Arab custom, as he talked. The Sahaba could not tolerate this. Accordingly, Urwa's nephew Mughira bin Shubah, radhiyallahu anhu, who was standing armed nearby, struck Urwa's hand with the handle of his sword and said, "Keep your hand away." Urwa, "Who is he?" The Prophet, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. "He is Mughira." Urwa, 0. You betrayer. How dare you maltreat your uncle, who is still suffering for your misbehavior. Before Islam, Mughira, radhiyallahu anhu, had killed a few persons. Urwa paid the blood money on his behalf, and was referring to this incident. During his long discourse with the Prophet, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Urwas had been quietly observing the behavior of the Sahaba towards their master, so when he returned to Quraysh he said to them, 0 Quraysh. I have been an envoy to many great kings. I have seen the courts of Caesar, the Khosrows, and the negus. By Allah! Nowhere have I seen the people around a sovereign so respectful to him as found the companions of Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When Muhammad spits, they rush to receive the sputum in their hands before it touches the ground arid and anoints their faces with it. Hardly a word escapes his lips before all of them run to carry out his wish. When he makes wudu, they fight with one another to collect some drops of the used water before it falls to the ground. If anyone fails to get that water, he touches the wet hands of the person who had got it. Arid then rubs his own hands on the face. When they speak in his presence, they speak in low voices. They do not lift their gaze to look at his face, out of respect for him. A hair falling from his head or beard is preserved to get benediction from its arid and is looked upon as a sacred relic. In short, I have never seen any group of people so devoted to their master as I have seen the companions of Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, towards him. At long last, Usman, radhiyallahu anhu, was commissioned by the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to negotiate with the Quraysh, as he, despite his conversion to Islam, commanded respect from them. When Usman, radhiyallahu anhu, had left for Mecca, some of the Sahabah envied Usman's luck in, as they thought, being able to perform tawaf of the house of Allah. The Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, on the other hand remarked, I do not think he will ever like to do tawaf without me. However, when Usman, radhiyallahu anhu, entered Mecca, Aban bin Sa'id took him in his protection and said to him, You roam where you like. Nobody can touch you. Usman, radhiyallahu anhu, carried on his negotiations with Abu Sufyan and other chiefs of Mecca on behalf of the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and, when he was about to return, the Quraysh themselves said to him, Now when you are here at Mecca, you can perform tawaf before you return. He replied, How can it be possible for me when the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, has been prevented by you people from entering Mecca? This reply was lost unpalatable for the Quraysh and they decided to detain Usman, radhiyallahu anhu, at Mecca. News reached the Muslims that Usman, radhiyallahu anhu, had been martyred. This news reached the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, took the oath of allegiance from all Sahabah to fight to the last drop of their blood. When the Quraysh learned of this, they got frightened and immediately released Usman, radhiyallahu anhu. In this story, Abu Bakr's, radhiyallahu anhu, insulting Urva Mughira's, radhiyallahu anhu, treatment of his uncle, the Sahaba's behavior toward the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as evidence Urwa and Usman's, radhiyallahu anhu, refusing to do tawaf speak volumes about the love and devotion of Sahabah for the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The oath of allegiance mentioned in this story is known as Bay'at Shajara, the oath of allegiance beneath the tree, and is mentioned in the Quran, 48:18.